Dr. Ana Katrina Palma de Jesus has been teaching for almost 2 decades, and reflective practice led her to reframe the relationships among teachers, students, and space through a play-based philosophy. She currently leads the Communication Division of the Department of Humanities, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. In 2020, she became a research residency fellow of the Cognitive Innovation for Sustainable Development program by the Cognovo Foundation, UP Open University, and University of Plymouth. A Doctor of Communication degree holder from the UP Open University, she's keen on exploring notions of liminality, ritual, and play in creating transformative learning experiences. Join me as we welcome our enlightened webinar speaker, Dr. Ana Katrina Palma de Jesus.
Nilagyan niya nga pala ng ganun yan. Thank you for that now. Ang galing ko pero isang araw. Yeah, we can also mute some of the participants. Good afternoon, everyone. I really do hope that you had a meaningful and reflective Holy Week. And I'm so happy to be with you today at this platform, wherever you are in the Philippines, or maybe some of you are abroad, whether you're in your office or perhaps in your sala, in your room, dining table perhaps, or maybe in your car. May narinig ako, meron din from nasa grocery. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen because today I have a very humble yet rich sharing on how to make things light. So light, later on you'll find out that light stands for something. Okay. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll click present, but I cannot find the bottom here. Okay, later you'll find out what LITE stands for. So what I'll be sharing is research-based and practice-led. So early on, I will wish to thank also my husband, who is a co-creator with me in thinking of the design canvas that I'll be sharing with you later. So I invite everyone to have an open mind and open heart. Of course, because what I'm about to share necessitates a paradigm shift. So dati pa po natin pinag-uusapan yung paradigm shift. And it's really a bit challenging because we all know that shifts may first appear as disruptions, no? And not everyone may be so quick to change. Nakaka-relate po ako dyan. But when I started reframing my role as educator from, you remember, sage on a stage, up to guide on a side, and now as experienced designer / architect, or you can say events planner, no, if you will, I realized that we can help learners meet learning outcomes, so fulfilling the needs of the curriculum, as Dean Cese said, at the same time inviting them in playful, co-creative, dialogic spaces. So again, I'm Dr. Ana Katrina P. De Jesus. You can call me Ma'am Tip from the Department of Humanities. So I remember kasi what my student said. One of my students said when I applied the LITE way in our classroom. So to quote, I will quote him. So he said, parang bata uli ako. Ngayon kasi, pilit na lang. This is the personal experience of the student, no? So, pilit na lang, referring to, you know, the traditional way. Pero dito, umiikot ang activity sa imagination ng tao. Sa traditional learning kasi, scripted, ordered, tanggap ka lang ng tanggap. So, dito, not as ordered kasi you're free to do interpretations, you get to apply immediately, and you're driven by excitement. Kasi na-experience mo mismo. And that's something that I wish to share with everyone. That's why, welcome to Making Things Light, designing play-based, experiential, and gamified learning. Okay, so I wish to begin with this slide because it perfectly, it aptly captures the kind of classrooms that I am envisioning in the future. Or maybe now, no, we can make innovations as early as now. So according to Greenfield 2023 said, we believe that education at every level should combine the playfulness and joy of preschool. You remember when you were in preschool, no? Yung sense of awe and wonder. The intense collaborative experiments of a hackathon, learning by doing talaga, and the deep self-guided exploration of a doctoral program. Yung reflection that feeds into action, yung action, reflection, action that Paulo Freire has been said, no, in his book. So this is rethinking education. So how? Yun ang ating sasagutin today. So you can actually grab a piece of pen and paper and you can work with me because I'm gonna do it step by step, the light way. But for our learning objectives, to keep everything focused, we have 3. The first one is we're gonna define the key concepts: play-based learning, experiential learning, and gamified learning. The second is at the end of this session, we'll be able to explain how to design lessons using the experience design canvas that I'll be sharing. It's called Bahay-Bahayan. And third, articulate the value of making things light in the 21st century learning environment. So to keep things engaging as well, those who will take this seriously step by step, I will be, you can submit your work, and then later on we will choose the top 5 lesson plans, pinaka-engaging, constructively aligned, so that the top 5 lesson plans reflective of the play-based, experiential, and gamified learning, prototype lang po, hindi kailangan kompletong-kompleto, no? Will receive GCash, ayan, GCash from me. Bibigyan nyo lang po yung number, tas pwede po kayo manalo. Okay, lahat kasali. So I believe, ilan ba yung ating participants? So we have participants from, meron din sa Facebook Live. So hello everyone. So we're gonna start na po. So first, what are the key concepts here? Play-based, you can actually understand this by going back, no? Memory lane, yung in yung childhood. Because when you say play-based, the kind of learning where you experiment, model, demonstrate what was learned from the environment around you. So play-based is something very imaginative, self-directed, and process-oriented. So define lang natin, and later on we will show examples and actual case. So experiential is learning by doing, and from what was done, you reflect, no? And that cycle, if you're familiar with Cobb cycle, I'm not sure, most of the participants, I guess, are educators, right? So it's very easy to relate to. So experiential is something that you experience using your senses. Yan, multisensorial siya. And you're very active in the learning that you are engaged in. And finally, the term gamified is the use of game elements in non-game context. So in this case, conventionally, education is not considered as a game context, non-game siya, but we can actually borrow. Yan, hiraman lang naman yan sa iba't ibang field, no? So what works, you can borrow and then apply it. So why do we borrow from gamification? Most organizations, corporations use this to increase desirable behavior. Dito, we can also borrow them kasi sa gamified learning, some students are motivated by, for example, rewards, levels, leaderboards, etc. So we can make use of those as well. So yun yung difference. So maybe the difference between play-based and gamified, maybe some of you are wondering, is that the tendency for gamification is it's leaning towards extrinsic drives, no? Kasi meron ka talagang makikitang rewards, badges, etc. But for play-based, ang play ay umiikot sa kwento. So yung kwento, the narratives. And this is very important because sabi nga, we're homo narrans, no? We make sense of the world through stories. So pag pinagsama yung tatlong yan, we call it PEG, that's very, very, very powerful. Okay. So mamaya ko po titignan yung chat box, but feel free to write questions. So, making things light, hindi ko napapatigalan. Making things light, L.I.T.E. So, I will show you, diba, here, you can see on the screen, L stands for let your design be verb-based. Why verb-based? Because of OBE, outcomes-based education, because the play that we do here is purposive. Purposive, tied up siya sa ating curriculum, sa ating program goals, if you have university goals or yung goals ng K-12, tied up siya. So it's always driven by outcomes. And I stands for identify narratives and invite learners in story worlds. Yan. Pertaining to the play, no? So how do you contextualize the learning? How do you make them solve problems? How do you make them use the concepts, academic concepts, no, in simulated or perhaps real-world scenarios? And C is tie up learning outcomes with the narratives to create gamified activities. Yung merging na po ng L and I, papasok na siya sa T, and finally E, engage learners through play. Okay, so maybe some of you are wondering, what does that look like? How will the classroom look like if these will be the steps? So I'll be sharing with you a design canvas. But first, anong basis nito? I told you research-based and practice-led. I did the research in my doctoral as well, and I looked at the relationship among play, school, and practice. Lahat sila bumubukal yung meaning sa libere or ludus, which means play, to do. School actually means leisure, no? So ibig sabihin yung school pala, it's supposed to be a leisurely activity. So ibig sabihin kung leisure siya, at the same time you get to practice skills, one and the same sila. So how come parang may what do you call this? Merong burden na ba to show up in the environment or in the classroom. Yun. So that's the gap that we wish to fill. Kaya natin ginagawang light way. So this is actually the theory and philosophy, bahay-bahayan at work. So in the design canvas that I'll be sharing with you, hindi ko na babalikan yung mga specific theories that led to this kasi the canvas that I'll be showing you, version 5 na po siya. But basically, in bahay-bahayan, in the design of the play-based experiential gamified learning that I'll be sharing, the teacher is no longer just the teacher because in bahay-bahayan, there's no more wall separating the teacher and the students. So in that case, the actor and the audiences. Yan. Ang tendency kasi, sabi nga nung student ko kanina, no, yung kinote ko na lines, parang napipilitan or tanggap na lang ng tanggap. That means may wall between the teacher and the students. But if we play, we are actually playing roles. Okay, that's why we are co-players with our students, co-players and co-creators. And the classroom are not a conventional classroom. The classroom can be anything. These are spaces of limitless possibilities. So let me show you how that works. Ayan, okay. Agad-agad ko na pong ipapakita ang design canvas. And this design canvas, once you have this accomplished, you will have a plan that is ready for execution in your classroom. Okay? So I will fill it up one by one using an example I already applied in my classroom. So okay ba yun? So kapag po may ganyan, pwede natin gamitin yung mga reaction button dito sa Zoom. Okay? So if you agree with something, you can click the like button, or kung you are also doing it with me, the lesson planning, you can actually put in the chat box your entries for each component of the canvas. Okay, so don't get intimidated. I know this is something new, but this is something that you can experiment on. Okay. So let's start with L. L stands for let your design be verb-based. So where do we get the verb-based? Of course, it's already stipulated in your curriculum. If you're using a module, nasa module na rin po yan. So, but basically, it draws from the Bloom's taxonomy. So those who have the education background, we know the Bloom's taxonomy, and there's a reason why we state it in verb form, because in verb form, the students, the teacher can now visualize what is it exactly that you intend the students to do or know, or feel or realize at the end of the lesson. So nahati yan: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So you can choose the verbs that are, of course, specific, measurable, realistic, given the time frame that you have. So we will just write the verb in our canvas. Yeah. Okay, so I have an example here. The subject is content. So this is a GE course in UPLB, but that, of course, my students are college students, and I indicated here, ito po yung una ninyong pipilapan, yung topic. The topic is about communication and identity construction. And I think some of the participants here are also content teachers, my fellow ComDev faculty. Hello, everyone. So I will show an example of module, I think it's module 3 of content. So you just write your name, the duration. In my case, it's 2 weeks. Ang setup po namin ay synchronous, asynchronous, but basically ang asynchronous namin ay for alignment, check-ins, and introduction and closing ng module, because the rest is asynchronous. So you may have different realities, but okay, you can draw insights kung saan po yung applicable in your practice. I will just list down the LOs. So we have 2 LOs for this module. One is explain the process of identity construction in and through communication. And the second is to analyze issues in the construction of identities using theories. Okay, I hope you can read my handwriting. So once you list that down, this is the first thing that you need to do, because this will serve as the purpose. And this is where all the other plans, activities will revolve around. Okay. Hindi po pwedeng fun-fun lamang. Kailangan purposive, meaningful and purposive. Okay. So we go to I. So again, L is let your design be verb-based and verb-driven. Ating Blooms. Second is I. Identify narratives and invite learners in story worlds. Doon sa mga gumagawa along with me, so yung mga gusto rin ng ipakita yung ginagawa nilang light bahay-bahayan canvas, so please choose a topic, and a learning outcome. Sulat nyo na lang sa inyong paper. It's not necessarily this layout, pwede namang isa-isang parts yan. So isulat nyo na lang po on a piece of paper, what is your subject, what is your topic, what is the duration, sometimes 1.5 hours lang, daily lesson plan, I believe, sa DepEd. So, ilagay lang natin, let's write down the learning outcome. Okay. And then, I'll go to the next step. Even just one learning outcome, okay lang po yun. I'll go to the next step, which is letter I, in the light way. I is identifying narratives and invite learners in story worlds, along with the teacher and student roles, plus the third teacher. And you might be asking, sino yung third teacher? Meron palang third teacher. Okay, who do you think is the third teacher? Can you guess? Put it in the chat box po. Yan. So in a classroom daw, merong third teacher. So sino yung first 2 teachers? The teacher, of course, and then the student is a teacher as well. Kasi co-created nga yung learning. Pero meron daw third. Anyone who wish to guess, just put it in the chat box. If you have any guess, who or what is the third teacher? So this is important because by placing the third teacher in our lesson planning, we're actually building a story. Yan. Yung story na yun yung world that you will temporarily inhabit. Okay. So we have a guest. Thank you, Sir Gerard. The third teacher, the materials, resources, yes, part of it. Because Nathan said the third teacher is the imaginary friend ni learner. Pwede yon. Imaginary friend ni learner because may dialogue no, na nangyayari. So kapag, the lesson, Anne said the lesson, Ma'am Bini said consciensya. Okay, so when we design, especially nung nag-transition tayo sa remote learning, okay, Ma'am Rose said assessment, okay, and another one said yung leader daw sa group kapag nag-group sila, okay, very good answer. Ito mo, napaka-diverse and divergent ang ating mga answers po. The experiences nila. The third teacher is the game elements. Okay, so the game elements, the resources you use, the experiences of the students, kapag binuo mo na sila, that's the space. The space is the third teacher. So kaya po ito, pasimuno, kasi kung sino nagsisimula ng laro, ang tawag sa kanya ay pasimuno. Di ba? Kung bata tayo, kung sino nagbabahay-bayan, kung sino nagpasimula ng laro, siya ay pasimuno. Tapos yung mga kalaro niya, yung mga inimbita niya, ang tawag natin ay kalaro. Tapos, anong sunod nilang ginagawa ay nagke-create ng espasyo. So in our case, as teachers, the space that we create, we have the modules, the Google Classroom, the gamified activities, the story world. Yan, sineset up natin yung space because we know that it's not only us, no? Where the students will learn from. The student will learn from human and non-human agents niya. Kasama yung espasyo. Kasama na dyan si Google. Okay. So we curate the resources. So tama yon. Kasama na yung mga game. But pag pinagsama-sama mo sila, that's the story world or the space. Yung espasyo. The imagined narratives and stories, story worlds that the teacher and the student will inhabit. Yan. Is that clear po? Yan. Okay. So kapag na-design na natin ang espasyo, the question is, how do we design? How do we design the espasyo or the space? How do we create a story world? Sabihin nyo, ang structured kaya ng aming curriculum. Tingnan natin. Yan. Oops. Thank you for those who participated. How do we think of narratives or story worlds? We draw from archetypes. So what are archetypes? Archetype is a character, an action, or a situation that is a pattern of human life generally. So we use archetypes because it's easily relatable. Na-embed yan sa ating consciousness, yung mga archetypes. For example, battle between good and evil. Diba? Merong quest ng heroes. Yung hero na natatalo nung umpisa, pero later on, merong lalapit sa kanya to help. Diba? Yung merong mga ganyan. So, a situation, an archetype is a situation that occurs over and over again in literature. It's deeply embedded in our consciousness. So, we can use these. Okay? So, usually, it's a hero's journey. If you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, the hero's journey, you have the quest, the call to action, and you get initiated, you undergo trials, and there's an attempt to overcome evil, and finally, you come up of the hero's journey, parang enlightened and stronger. Okay. So, halimbawa ng archetypes, for example, the quest to know who you are. O kaya naman the quest to find knowledge. So we will imagine situations wherein the students or the learners will assume roles, and then all the skills, competencies that they need to assimilate in one module or lesson, okay, will serve as the quests. Will serve as the quest or the content that they will unpack in the context of the archetypal journeys. For example, the quest to save the people and rid the land of danger. Uy, parang nangyayari ito ngayon, election lang. Okay, or to the search for love. Ayan, so depende sa age na ng ating mga students. So, you can see here sa right side naman, yan yung mga archetype characters. You have the hero, mala Harry Potter, or Luke Skywalker, or you can also have, lagi tayong merong sage. No, yung sage, someone who will help or lead the hero to his dream. And then, of course, the enemy, importante yung obstacle because that the obstacle will the constraints of the game or the obstacles will make it exciting and will give a sense of urgency. No, why do you need to solve this? Yan, yung mga cases and problems that you present to the learners. Okay, so think of an archetype, journey or situation or character that you can, relate to the learning outcomes. So, kung medyo mahirap ang isipin, okay, I will help you. Yeah, okay, so in my example, going back. So my main objective, the main objective in the lesson plan that we're doing, I'm showing you, is that one, to explain the process of identity construction. So we have different theories of how identity is constructed in and through communication and analyze this. So pag archetype, mapapaisip ka na, if it's an archetype, which situation or scenario would the learners most likely find themselves in a conflicting situation? Yung conflicting sa kanila, yung kanilang sense of identity. And then, I remembered, merong letter, di ba, si Jose Rizal sa mga kababaihan ng Malolos. Ito yung mga 18th, 19th century women who are progressive, no, for their time. And then, in contrast to that, kasi conflict ang hinahanap ko conflict on identity. Meron tayong archetype ng, archetype ng dalagang Pilipinas naman. Yung tipong very conservative. So, imagine how it would look like if you get to invite students, no, to play the role of 18th or 19th century Filipinas, and they'll be joining a dorm, no, Spanish period. And then in the narrative would be they are new students in Santa Isabel. It's a Spanish, dormitory na ang objective niya talaga is for you to get educated or indoctrinated, no, in the duties of women. Yan. So, kita mo na agad. So, why did I choose this archetype? Because I can see or visualize that the learners will get to apply the theories on identity construction here, and they will experience the tension. So, that's what I was going for. And so, ayan. And it turns out, there's a book. It's advantageous to have, to draw from existing literature, because you have a rich source to tap. For example, in Urbana at Felisa, this was actually written pala by someone from Binyan. I'm from Binyan And then I visited a museum there. Sinulat pala siya, ang author taga Binyan. Ginamit ko siya. At makikita lang yan sa Google ko. Hindi kailangan ng special skill sa research. Okay? So Urbana at Felisa would represent the conservative types, and then the women of Malolos would represent the progressive side. Okay, ngayon meron akong world. Paano ko gagawin na may background at may set ang aking world? Yan. So, unang-una, simple lang. Because bahay-bahayan, kung maglalaro tayo, we just draw from whatever is available around us. Right? No need to buy. Yan. So, you can use a virtual background. Yan. Tapos, I decided to make use of a Facebook group, so that the dormers will meet in that Facebook group. And then another Facebook group for the progressive women. So, madali naman, free yung resources nito. So, next step, yan, I now have a story world. Okay, tama, yung environment, may humabol na ng mga answers dito. Yes, the third teacher, the game elements which are already in the learning environment, right? The learning environment. Okay. So, let's go to the next. Yeah, ipapakita ko na pala how I did it after that. So, ang rule ko, dahil ako lang mag-isa yung pasimuno So, parehong ako si Urbana at Felisa. Ako rin yung women of Malolos. Pero yung aking mga students, mga dormers. Okay. Yan. So, how did we go about it? I invited my students through a Zoom recording, very short video, welcoming them to the door, and also citing the learning outcomes that we're supposed to achieve in this module. So parang tumatawid siya sa reality and the play world. And that's okay. And then I asked them to put on costumes. Ayan po, virtual background lang. Okay. And this is an example of the Facebook group. And my first prompt, it's very important in the narrative, not to invite them first. Parang pag nagbabahay-bahayan, hindi ka magpapaalam na, pwede ba tayo magbahay-bahayan? Di ba? Hindi ganun. Ang gagawin ay, yung kalaro mo lalapit sa'yo, and then, kukunin na lang yung order mo. So, yung mga bata, no? So, pag kinuha yung order mo, nasa restaurant ka pa. Immediately, you have the what-if world. Diba? The pretend world. The kunwari world. Okay. So, in my case, what I did is, upang patunayan na kayo mag-aaral ng Santa Isabel, magpakuha ng litrato sa harapan ng dormitoryo, kinakailangan na angkop ang inyong kasuotan at hashtag. At dahil tayo ay masayang namumuhay sa 1898, kinakailangan na selfie ang ating paligid. Bawat grupo ay magkakaroon ng isang post kung saan ang larawan ng bawat isang miyembro ay nakahayag. So, you be consistent. The language itself, yung costume ninyo. So, may mga students po ako na kumuha ng mga kurtina. Sabi ko sa kanila, ibalik nyo, magagalit ang inyong mga nanay. But basically, you just source it from around you. So, in this world, even the males played women roles. Para rin nagkakaroon ng empathy, no? Parang, how does it feel like to be a Filipina in the 19th century? And when you invite them to the narrative or play world, there's what Johan Huizinga called, pakita ko yan, the magic circle. And Johan Huizinga said, in understanding play, there's a magic circle. The magic circle is the context or the frame. When you enter the magic circle, you know that you are in a play world. So outside the magic circle is the real world. The real world, ako si Ma'am Kate. Okay? For sa play world, ako si Urbana. Ako si Juana. Okay? So, to plant that seed of belief para masuspend nila yung disbelief. Okay, you will have to be consistent. So for example, there's a set of students who showed their photos in front of the dormitory, and ito na, very modern. Ewan ko si Pia Wurtzbach yata ito. Okay, and so as a conservative woman, Urban at Felisa, pag nakita niyo yung book na yun, makikita mo yung mga etiquettes for Filipinas. Okay, you can draw from the narratives to be so that the learners will enter the magic circle. Magkakaroon ng sense of belief. Pag kasi meron ng sense of belief, that's where when they will get immersed in the story world. Okay, so in example, I simply told them, malugod namin kayong sinasalubong sa dormitoryo Santa Isabel. Subalit ano't ganito ang kasuotan ni Binibini. Ang magpakita ng balat na labis sa nararapat ay tila pag-iimbita ng nanasang mata ng mga binata. Sa hinuha ko ay kailangan ninyo ng leksyon. Ayan. Magdasal ng siyentong Abaginong Maria. Something like that. Okay. Panghuling paalala, ang kalinisan ng isang dalaga ay parang isang bubog kahit di magkalangat, kahit di mabasag, mahingan lamang ay nadurunisan. Yan. Actual line yan sa Urbana at Felisa literature. So you can see, nagko-connect din. I'm teaching communication theories from my pieces of literature and culture that you get to learn. And immediately, the student, changed. So sabi nga ng student sa FGD, naku, kala namin laro lang. Seryoso talaga. So that they will enter the magic circle, and once you're inside the magic circle, so to be effective, you have to believe as well that you're inside that world. If you are not convinced, hindi mo rin maaakay yung mga students mo. So it's imaginative play. Okay, so we go to letter T. Again, review. L is let your design be verb-based. I invite the learners in a story world. Invent or identify story worlds or narratives from archetypes. Okay. Pwede rin naman realistic, hindi naman kailangan archetype. Very realistic. And letter T is tie up. This is now where you will merge or tie up, weave the learning outcomes with the narratives to create gamified activities. So these are the game mechanics, obstacles, feedback loops for assessment. It's very important to tie up the assessment to this. So, excited na ba kayo makita ang itsura nun? Let's see. But first, this is a very quick, guide to choose which activities you can identify or choose for any learning outcome. So, for example, in the lesson, content lesson that we're using, the word is explain. So you can see explain here. I'm not sure if you see the cursor. Explain is here under comprehension. So I can choose here any of the activities here. May staircase na si Blooms. Meron pang mas updated, yung mga mas comprehensive. So I can engage them in discussion, in review, in test, in assessment, in report, or make them present something or write something. Tapos yung isang, what's the other learning outcome? Sorry, analyze. Analyze yata. So yan, here. So in analysis, I can present them with a case, a critical incident, a discussion, or a question. You will see that it's the same set of activities, but carried out inside the world. Okay, so para kang may instant dula-dulaan. Parang gano'n. Okay, so, and, okay, one note, no, on gamification. So, game mechanics, I told you a while ago, in gamified learning, if you use points, leaderboards, gifts, etc., that would promote extrinsic motivation. Medyo madali rin yung mag-wane, no? But if it's inside the world na may narrative, you have a relationship with your group mates, dormers sila, no? Dormers sila. May clear progression of how the story goes, may conflict, may tension, may denoma, yan, may constraints and emotion. It's easier to engage the learners intrinsically. Okay? So the mechanics is important because how will you give the feedback as well? So is it gonna be competitive or cooperative? Will they be working individually or by group? This is by group, no, yung ginagawa ko kasi I noticed the increasing sense of isolation of the students when they answer the module and write essays. It's very individual. Okay yun, okay sana yun, ano? However, we also have, challenges in how do we connect as human, diba? Tao sa tao. And so we can at least help in the sense of wellness that everyone feels. Kapag kasi may joint relationships kayo and you get to talk to each other, nade-develop yung friendship kahit remotely. So, yan. Okay, this is how it looks like now. You notice, this is the goal. Lagi kayong titingin dito, ha? The learning outcomes. Explain, analyze. Okay. Ang role, dormers. Ako ay conservative, urbana, and woman of Malolos. Ang pangalan ko ay Juana Reyes. Background ito. So, paano na ngayon yung tie-up? Tie-up, tie-up. So, go to the content. Notice the third row here. You have content, learning experiences, assessment. And they're positioned in a way that you can see the connection because we have the constructive alignment principle of outcomes-based education. No? So for whatever objective you have, okay, objective, paano ma-achieve yung explain and analyze inside the narrative, okay, making sure that the content, ano yung content namin? Goffman's theory, yung presentation of self in everyday life, impression management, identity gaps, etc. Catch communication theory of identity na may layers pa lang ating identities, multiple and subjective. And third theory, Andreoli's positioning theory na meron tayong different storylines. That's why we have different perceptions of doing things, understanding things. So yung tatlong theory na yan, tinapatan natin ng experiences. So, since we have the module will serve as the reference and also the readings. So, if the learners are expected to explain, okay, so what would be a good activity, matching activity that can help them unpack this theory, one theory lang muna, no? In a gamified way, consistent with the story way. So, and I thought, okay, so nabasa niya na yung readings, there is, you will curate the resources, right? I found a YouTube video because you speak the language of your learners. So if they're fond of the reaction videos, I noticed napaka-fond nila sa reaction videos. Pwede kayang mag-reaction video sila pero sa theory. So let's see. So they made a Binibinis reaction video. Okay. And then I have a rubric for that and it's collaborative. Yan. For the second theory naman, because it's about the layers of identities, I want them to reflect autobiographical or a diary entry on what life means for an 18th century Filipina who got invited, a conservative dormer, no, who got invited to a secret progressive group. So anong gagawin nila? Will they heed the call or will they, hide from the call? And then finally, yung positioning theory naman, yan, because I want them to, analyze to. Analyze. So kung analyze siya, balikan natin yung analyze. Analyze, nandito siya. Yan. So minatch ko siya sa parang combination ng case, analysis, and critical incident. Yan. Magdi-discuss sila. Magdi-discuss. So ano yung case na tinikon nila? See later. So all of these may rubric. So, aligned. It's important to be aligned. Make sure that you're doing something purposefully. Okay. And then, the part here, itong nasa baba ko, yan, it's the episodes. Para lang meron kang mental check what you should be doing sa first week, second week, no? So, welcome to the dorm. Next is, get indoctrinated in your duties as a dormer and get invited by the secret group. Anong media mo doon? Facebook post. And then the last one, ito na, meron ng threat from the obstacle. This is important, the obstacle. Yan. It will make your design or your lesson really exciting kasi they are, may conflict, di ba? Kung wala kasing conflict, kulang pa eh. So the Madre Superiora, the one who runs the dormitory, will be your main obstacle. And the threat is you should not get caught as part of the revolutionary. So I will show you the instructions that I gave there. So for the first quest, watch this video. May readings sa modules eh. So watch these videos and then make a reaction video. So you have to be very clear and specific in stating your learning, your rubric as well, no? So is it gonna be a Zoom video, 15 to 20 minute video? You can also give options for those who do not have internet access. So usually I have differentiated activities. So if you cannot do the Zoom video, you can also write a script and then you will submit the script. And this is the example of the video that they did. Yeah. So let's take a glimpse.
At least in
Can
the
you hear
role
it?
of author of The Presentation of Self in
Yes
Everyday
po.
Life, he did.
Sa palagay ko ay nagbabago ang ating personalidad base sa pangangailangan ng sitwasyon. Ngunit, masasabi kong dapat na ayon ito sa tungkulin natin bilang mga kababaihan sa lipunan. Hindi dapat tayo tumaliwas sa mga pamantayang ito.
Con mucho gusto estoy de acuerdo con usted, señora. Batid ko na ang mga kababaihan sa ating kapanahunan ay masasabing magkakatulad sa pananamit, sa paggalaw at maging sa pakikipag-ugnayan sa ibang miyembro ng lipunan. Marahil ang lahat ng ito ay produkto lamang ng tingin at pamantayang itinakda sa atin ng lipunan at kung ito man ay mababago, marahil ay ganon din tayo.
Magnifico. Tunay ngang makahulugan ng karanasan ito. May mga konsepto pala sa likod ng bawat pagkikisalamuhan natin sa isa't isa. Sa tingin nyo ba na ipapakita ko na ang totoong ako sa inyo?
Pero wala nga raw tunay na pagkatao mga tao. Walang tunay na ikaw na tinatakpan mo ng mga maskarang ipinapakita mo sa amin. Dahil ang mga maskarang yan mismo ang iyong pagkatao. Ang ating raw pagkatao ay bunga lamang ng mga interaksyon at mga sitwasyong kinapapalooban natin. Mukhang ito nga ang naging batayan ng lipunan, kaya sila ay nagbigay ng mga dapat at hindi dapat gawin ng isang binibining tulad natin. Upang magkaroon tayo ng pagkatao, kung wala nito ay ano na lamang tayo, paumanhin mga binibini. Nawawala ako sa sarili ko dahil sa mga bagong konsepto na ito. Kayo ba? May masasabi ba kayo?
Okay. Okay, that's an example. So, by watching this, you can go back to your learning objectives, na-meet ba nila, and then refer to your rubric. No? So, yung key points ng theory ni Goffman ay meron ba silang rich insights? You will make use of the rubric for the assessment. And then, you can also do formative assessment by asking them to submit, for example, an outline and then commenting. Or if not, you can make use of a draft. You can ask them to submit a draft to you and then comment on that. But usually, students will have an outline of their plan. Yung plan pa lang. Kasi importante yung process of doing, not just the final output. So they were able to explain the theory in a creative way. And nagkaroon ng discussion, dialogue, because they were all talking. Kita nyo. Wait. Go to the next slide. Okay. So I'll show the next quest. So again, when I look at the constructive alignment, na-meet ko na yung first content that we need to unpack. The second content is the second theory. And they're all related naman. So for the quest 2, my question was upang ganap na maunawaan kung paano ang kalipunan ng ating mga karanasan ay lumutubog sa ating identidad, nararapat alamin ang isang teorya ng pagkakakilanlan. Ang tawag sa teoryang ito, okay, introduce the theory. And then, ang hamon sa inyo ay basahin at intindihin ang tekstong ito at sumulat ng isang diary entry na nagpapahayag ng mga halimbawa at obserbasyon kung paano umiiral ang 4 na layers ng identidad maging ang konsepto ng identity gaps na inyong nararanasan. So, you would imagine that the students would contextualize, imagine, draw from their schema, kung mga history classes nila, ano ba yung plight ng women during the 19th century. So, and they will connect it with the lessons learned from Goffman about dramaturgy and impression management. So because it's contextualized, because it's inside the world of play, it's very, very experiential. Okay. So the diary entry, it has to be handwritten because we are after a diversity of learning activities. And para naman, hindi naman sila nakatapat sa screen. No? So if you can think of low-stake activities that they can do, even without technology, sulat kamay, no? That would also be a very good experience. They would just take photo. And also gusto ko makita yung handwriting ng mga students. So this is an example of an output. So may pasepya pa sila ng paper. Makikita mo, hindi mo naman binigayan sa instructions that they need to present it like this, but because they're already inside the magic circle, all kinds of imagination and creativity, no, lumalabas na. Okay. And then, when you look at it, the student constructs an identity, her identity as a dormer, o akala ko kilala ko ng aking sarili, malakas matalino at limonada. Kilala ako bilang isang mahinhing dalaga. Okay? Alam kong ito ay naayon lamang sa mga kilos na aking ipinapakita. Okay? Sabi niya, mapalad akong makapasok sa Kolehiyo Santa Isabel, ngunit paano naman ang mga hindi pinalad? Mananatili ba silang mangmang at sunod-sunuran? So this is the emotion that I was aiming for when they start asking questions and interrogating the happenings in the dormitory. Kasi sa umpisa, puro sila pagsunod, diba? Opo, senyora, rifo, madre superiora. And then later on, they're now asking questions. And then the quest 3, I will show you the quest 3, no? This is the third content or theory. And at the same time, this is also a culmination na ng iba't ibang theories na na-discuss. So, nakalagay dito, sa quest na ito, ang mga miyembro ng silid ay magdadayalogo patungkol sa umaalsang tunggalian sa Dormitorio Santa Isabel. Sila Urbana at Felisa ay patuloy sa pag-iimbestiga kung sino ang pinaghihinala ang kasapi ng rebelding samahan. Ayan, kasi meron ng nakaalam na meron palang secret revolutionary group. Tapos nagtatanong na yung Madre Superior. And then the leader of the Malolos group, si Juana Reyes, patuloy sa kanyang pag-iimbita at pag-uorganisa ng mga kababaihang nais ng reforma. So you have what can ensure that you'll be meeting the learning outcomes is if you give very well-structured guide questions based on the readings. Yan. Gamiting batayan ng article na ito upang sagutin ang sumusunod. Sino ang tama sa dalawang panig? Ano ang vantage point of position? So, etc. That's specific to our lesson. Maaari magsumite ng written reply, Word doc lang, or ng audio or ng video. Again, give them the choice. Basta meron kang rubric. So, as I told you before, sa analysis, balikan natin yung ating table. Analysis, case study, and discussion. Pinagsama ko siya. So, dito ako kumukuha. No? So, kung examine, present. Learner presentations. Dito, analysis, meron ka ng case. So, babalikan ko. Okay. You now have a backstory of Urbana at Felisa na yun pala, kinalumulatan nila na kinupkup sila ng fraile, mga orphans pala ito. At sinabi ng fraile na ang ama daw nila ay pinaslang ng rebelding grupo, yung mga katipuneros. So yun yung backstories, kaya pala sila merong deep faith, diba, sa fraile at sa madre. And galit sila sa mga subversibong movements. And character 2 naman, ito ay angka ng mga sangli mestizo. So again, you can see it's interdisciplinary. So you're talking about communication theories and at the same time you're talking about, a piece of Philippine history. Okay. So, si Juana Reyes ay ang pamilyang tinutulungan yung mga revolutionaryong hukbo, ang ama niya ay reformista, etc. So, analyze nila ngayon yung case. And then, this is an example of a submission nila. Paano nila nakikita yung different positioning ng bawat people. So, based on the quality of their outputs, I also get a sense of are we meeting what we're supposed to meet, the learning outcomes. Kasi pag meron pang kulang, magsasalita ako bilang halimbawa ay Juana Reyes, na ako ay nakukulangan sa inyong argumento, dito. So when you give feedback, it's still in character. No? It's still in your role. You do not break the magic circle yet. Nandun ka pa rin sa loob. Okay. But for the assessment, you post this. Diba? Yung mga clear rubrics na ginagamit natin to assess the activities. Okay. So what I use is the rubric. And for the assessment, you have the peer evaluation. Because it's a group activity, and also the peer evaluation, it supports the development of the students' metacognition, how they think, they learn, and understand. So yung mga questions ko dyan, what were your specific contributions, and the skills. Look at this. You do not just measure yung academic skills, yung concepts, no? instead you also ask them, ano ba yung mga skills that you learned? O, natuto sila ng editing, natuto raw sila ng na-strengthen yung intrapersonal and interpersonal skills. And attitude is openness. Kasi, syempre, this is something new, no? Or openness to their groupmates' ideas as well. Meron nagsasabi dyan, I learned that I'm not assertive enough, hindi na-recognize yung idea ko. So those things are actually emotions, no, that you will that our graduates will encounter in the real world kapag nasa workplace setting sila. So ngayon, ipalasak or ipa-experience na natin sila para matutunan nila how it feels like or may differences ng opinions. That's one beauty of collaborative learning. Because if you work individually on your own, you're comfortable with it, okay yun. But the nature, sinabi yan ng OVPA, no, na that it's actually gonna be the workplace of the future, the creative spaces of the future will be collaborative. And so as early as now, let's encourage our students to collaborate in this scope. Okay. And we go to L.I.T.E. Engage learners through play. This is where everything comes together. May roles na sila. How do you tell the stories, the language that you use, the conflicts, the costumes, the virtual backgrounds, the music. If you want food, para multi-sensorial. So please remember, the more senses the learners use, the higher the retention, the learning retention would be. Okay? So kung may audio, visual, meron kang tactile, kinesthetic, meron kang element of food, kahit pictures lang or props. Yan. And I wish to say something about the player types as well. So before, in the Bahay-Bahayan Canvas, we used to place there as a criteria of considerations for designing our play-based lessons, the multiple intelligences. But when we realized that if you're doing bahay-bahayan or play-based, verily or inevitably, nagiging MI na siya, multiple intelligences. There's a combination of individual and collaborative, you hone your language skills, etc. So, ang nilagay na lang namin this time, the player types. Because meron na tayong generation of gamers, young and adult alike. So, what are the player types? So player types, imagine that you have learners who love working in teams and in collaboration with others. They're very social. So pwede kayo mag-reflect, what kind of learner are you? Please put it in the chat box. Yan. Or you can be a combination nito, ha? So who loves working in teams, social elements? So place it in the chat box kung kayo ba ay social player or exploratory player. Ang exploratory naman, you love exploring world. You are excited by the idea of getting resources. One resource leading you from one link to another. Yan, something to read or watch. Meron din naman yung achievers. The achievers are the kinds of players who are motivated by prizes and badges to collect along the way. So kapag achievers, they're compelled to proceed with the task or the quest because of the little things, mga prizes, badges that they get to collect. And number 4, killer. Yung mga killer, gusto nila talaga sila yung winner, sila yung nangunguna, kaya importante sa kanilang leaderboards. So when we say leaderboards, in Canvas, I guess merong mechanism doon na makikita mo yung leaderboards. Or for example, number of hours spent in reading the text, siya yung pinakamataas. Pwedeng magbigay sa teacher ng star or badge on that. Number of, ito yung may mga records or feats, or the dormers, the dorm who have the best attire and introduction nung kanilang orientation sa dormitoryo. So you can also put that na may winner dito. So, but the killers are motivated by those kinds of prizes and by being the first, no? They will lead the pack. Okay. So, in designing, we consider as well if we're able to appeal to this. So, for example, the social elements, the reaction video, that's collaborative. You have to work in teams. Okay. And the exploratory, they will have to go to the YouTube videos, curated references or suggested readings to explore the world as well. Tapos exploratory, meron din yan yung tipong meron kang i-decode para ma-access mo yung next. So explore nila, ano nga ba itong cipher na to? Mga ganyan, mga cipher. And then, the different kinds of awards. Okay. So, tingnan natin sa chat box. Yes, may ganong types ng mga player types. Okay. So, this is what it looks like to have the E in L.I.T.E. Kompleto natin ang ating elements. Okay. So, you have, what did I add here? So, if we believe that we inhabit the story world, meron tayong Dalagang Pilipinas. So, again, hindi ito graded. So, it doesn't matter kung suot mo ay magandang magandang terno, inelbitik, ano. Or, kurtina lang yan na binalumbon. That's okay. Okay? And then the props, you can make use of, Rosario, Dasalan. And I have a side quest there. You can teach paano manulsi to be able to access the next task. So, these mini tasks or mini quests are not part of the grading, but students are very, very eager and excited to do this. Why? Because they get to parang exercise their creativity. Simple TikTok lang. Ang dami kasing pwedeng magawa sa TikTok. Okay. So for the materials, I made use of the student registration form in order to establish that this is a real school, real dorm. I found a reg form in Spanish just in Google, and then that's what they filled out. So, para maging official kang estudyante dito, fill up this registration form. And then there's a quest there that you cannot access the next learning activity if you do not decode. No? If you're not able to decode. So, gagamit sila ng katipunan code and cipher. Bibigyan ko sila ng code, may lihim na mensahe. Tapos gagamitin nila yung cipher to decode. And then the music, simple posting ng Spanish religious spiritual songs sa Facebook. Yan, pakinggan natin ito. Ganyan. Tapos sa food naman, nilagyan ko lang na ano ang inyong paboritong putahe, post, photo, or GIF. So all these elements work together to make the world you inhabit very believable. Okay. So those are examples. Randomly, I post pinaplano to so pwedeng nakaschedule siya. Ilagay sa ibaba kung ano yung pinakamasarap na kayang lutuin sa kusina. So you may ask me, is that part of the learning outcome? No. But it's part of the world building. And we want our students to imagine and be creative and get excited. No? What's the next episode? Gusto na namin makita yung next episode. And learn bits and pieces of our history. Ito yung sinasabi kong may katipunan ko. So you will leave the activities. For example, galing dun sa panunulsi quest, I told them, mainam na kayo ay marunong magsulsi. Subalit na pag-alaman ko na ang grupo ninyo ay nagsisimula ng magtanong at mga question patungkol sa inyong identidad at mga pangyayari sa ating lipun. Nasulingan ko ito na ako ay mapadaan sa kwarto nila Urban at Felisa. Kayo ay mag-ingat sapagkat may mga ideyang para sa kanila ay subversibo. So you're establishing the conflict now. Okay? And it's very exciting that you get invited to a secret group. Kasi pag nag-solve mo na to, tsaka ka papasok sa kabilang group. Okay. Asociación Feminista Filipina. Is this challenging to do? Hindi. Canva ko lang siya. Lalagay mo lang yung title. Tapos kukuha ako ng mga existing na. This is where what excites me the most because I get to curate materials and I get to learn new things apart from the subject I'm teaching. So sabi ni Rizal pala dun, ayan, yung post. So why do I put this? Hindi naman siya part ng learning outcome. Because I want to prepare them for that tension and the negotiation of identities that they would have to do to fulfill learning outcome number 2. So you don't even need to do different characters. You can just post a picture of the madre, kunwari, and then a text here. So I actually asked my students sa FGD, did it bother you that the name of the one who's posting is just Kate Panodesos, Kate Panodesos? Do you still believe the character? Sabi nila, hindi po namin napapansin na kayo lang din yung nagpo-post. Para sa amin, meron talagang Madre Superiora. So, in that case, no, they're really inside the magic circle, and the imagination and the emotions and the narrative is becoming real. Yan. Okay. And so, they told me, ma'am, nung nag-post po na galit na si Madre Superiora, all of us turned to our group chats and we were discussing, what are we supposed to do? Do we admit that we got invited, or do we not say it even though it's lying? So may mga dilemma pa sila, and they get to discuss it, no? And then there's one student who who gave a reaction button, and then I further asked in character pa rin. And for the case of this student, hindi talaga siya umamin. Sabi niya ay wala po kaming natatanggap na paanyaya sa lihim na samahan, although he's already a member of the secret group. So I was so happy because I got to achieve the conflict in identity, no? In identity and the values system. Naging very raw. Okay, so with that, na-integrate ko yung play. Okay, and I got a feedback na kapag pinagsama-sama ko yung L.I.T.E, no? L.I.T.E, let your design be verb-based. I, invite them in story world. T, tie up learning outcomes with the narrative to create gamified activities. And E, engage them in playful elements. I was able to get comments like this, no? So it's a good comment because it says, thank you for wonderful Sam. I really dreaded the subject, and it took me 3 times to enroll it. However, under your supervision, you made it fun and impactful. To be honest, naging pahinga ko po yung core subject nyo kasi nag-enjoy po akong gawin yung mga tasks. And the way of teaching, mas nakakatulong siya sa retention and pagkatuto ng modules. The best decision po yung nag-pre-rog po ako sa class mo. So, you can glean from the students that students' comments that an approach like this is serious play, no? Play is used to facilitate gamified experiential activities that are still driven by the learning outcomes. And that's the goal. That's the goal. So, so the question now is, yan. So I hope I was able to give a very good case, parang example of the L.I.T.E, and I would give another one, brief overview lang. How would you design the learning experience, the bahay-bahayan L.I.T.E? Kunwari, ito yung ating outcomes. Okay? How would you do this? One more example before I ask you to give your own example. I'll just drink good juice. Pag-isipan nyo, teka, kahit hindi po communication ng inyong background. Okay, so here, we have 3: explain, discuss, and examine. Rhetoric, the use of persuasive elements, very timely election, ano? So, what I did is this. Yan. So, I contextualized the learning and unpacking of rhetorical theories in a contest hosted by the Mayora. My role is mayor, and my students are families vying for the award. May award. Pinakamahusay na pamilya ng ating komunidad 2022 award. So ano yung obstacle? It's competition, inter-family competition. And then, what did I use? Mayor, ako yung mayora. So ang tawag nila sa akin dito ay mayora. And then, for the content, learning experiences and assessment, Yan, I made use of Quizlet to unpack the concepts. Free din po itong app na to, no? And then for political rhetoric, so they get to apply it. I recorded, biglang dumating yung yung father-in-law mo. Okay. At yung father-in-law mo ay feels very strongly about one particular candidate. Naniniwala siya sa mga fake news. So how would you make use of rhetorical strategies and devices in order to invite Lolo to see the bigger picture? Diba? So yung analysis nila and application of the theory, naka-contextualize. Meron silang kausap na tao. So may recording. What I did is just present a recording. Tapos, digital rhetoric, sinabi ni Mayora na dahil kayo ang mga nominees sa PPK Award, people look up to you. So, can you help me educate our constituent by designing an educational brochure or presentation? Okay, so you can see that activities are the same activities that we often use. But again, we will design it and keep it around narratives. So I guess ang importante dito yung narratives and the stories. Because we thrive in stories and storytelling. Ibabalik natin yung storytellers in us, very inherently, very Filipino. So, you can see here, you can take a screenshot po as an example of how to teach, theory courses. Or I mean, appreciation, theoretical, applied also. Okay, now here's the challenge. I was told that some of our students are MST, tama ba? BS Math and Science teaching students. And so, but everyone is free to join. Dito po ako magbibigay ng ka-Gcash. Again, kung magpapag-gamify kayo ha, hindi po sustainable na may monetary reward pala. Ako lang, gusto ko lang magbigay because I feel so blessed by this opportunity to serve and share with everyone. Yan, so something familiar naman ito. Ang topic, grade 7 math. Kinuha ko to sa DepEd. Yan, sa DepEd siya. Tapos, introduction to sets. So, how would you do this? So, babalik tayo sa L.I.T.E way, no? L, ano po ulit ang L? Let your design be verb-based. Tapos I, ano yung story world? And then, P, paano natin siya i-weave para magkaroon ng activities? And E, engage them in play. But I recognize that the bahay-bahayan design canvas is very elaborate. Kaya papasimplehin natin. What you're gonna put here, you can take a photo of here if you wish to join. Bale, top 5 designs. Bawat design po ay may 200 pesos ipapadala sa Gcash. Yan. Okay po ba yun? You will just give me your number. Okay. So, let's see. Even if you're not a math or science teacher, ang sets naman ay naunawaan natin, tama ba? Set, subsets, universal set, null set. So, ang ating objectives ay describe and illustrate sets. And number 2, use Venn diagrams to represent sets and subsets. Yan. Tapos ang lesson po kasi niya yung union and intersection of sets. Usually kasi when I clean the lesson plan, very discrete, separate yung mga activities. Kunwari ito, unang activity, below are some random objects, group them as you see fit and label each group. Okay naman sana siya, but it taps the head, the cognitive. Paano natin masusustain yung engagement by placing it in world narrative case. Picturean nyo na lang po. Pero papakita ko lang, hindi na canvas gagamitin natin. What we will do is this format. Yan. Okay. So, you will write your entry sa chat box. What you will do is, a shortcut na lang po. So, use this format na lang. So you will write, in order for the learners to insert the learning outcome. The class will meet in, what is the story word? Where the teacher asks, what is the role of the teacher? Will invite blank, what is the role of the learners? To undergo blank. What is the quest? What are the quest or gamified activities? So very, very simplified version para po makasali kayong lahat at ma-apply natin ito. And we can see or experience alternative ways of designing and facilitating art lessons. I'll give an example. Here po. In order for the learners to compare traditional and organic farming, so for example, that's the learning outcome. Now, the class will meet in Binhi Co-op. So this is my LO. Ano yung word ko? Binhi Cooperative. Okay. Parang seeds cooperative siya, and they're trying to decide whether to go for traditional and organic farming. Where the teacher will play the role of the Seeds Incorporated owner, where the teacher, as Seeds Incorporated owner, will invite farmers. So, ang role na aking mga students ay farmers to undergo a resource management game. Yan. So, mag-create ng parang resource management na kunwari, ito yung inputs mo, kasi ito yung pinili mo, ito yung choices mo, ito na yung yield. Pero merong caveat yon. Ano yun naman yung impact sa environment. Yan. So, mga ano yan, mga pieces that will move. As simple as that, ganun lang po ang kinikingi ko. Just to check if you somehow open to this kind of learning design. Another one is, another example, in order for the learners to demonstrate folk dances, kahit po PE or health ang tinuturo, pwede siya. The class will meet in the Fiesta of San Ramon, where the teacher, as Hermana, will invite local talents to undergo mini performances. So you can imagine, instead of telling the students, perform, demonstrate, Cariñosa, meron siyang context. Yan, one example yan. Okay. Yan. So, given these examples, ito po yung ating challenge. Okay. So, use the same format in order for the students to describe and illustrate sets, use Venn diagrams, or kahit isa lang po, kahit isang learning outcome. Okay. They will blank and blank and blank. Let me... Yan. So, we have several minutes for you to do this. I will wait po in the chat box. Let me know if you need me to turn to a different slide. Or, I also propose that if you have your own topic or subject, okay lang din. It doesn't have to be sets. Baka yung iba nagre-recall pa dun sa lesson nila on sets. I decided to do this because may MST students na po tayo. Math and Science teaching students. So, you can be guided by this. Yan. So, ang given natin ay describe and illustrate. So, kung describe, hanapin natin siya. Nasaan nga yung describe and illustrate? Here, illustrate is application. And then, yan, in the chat box, write this format in the chat box. So, lahat po kasali lahat kasali. You can join. You can use the set, lesson on set topic, or you can create something na yung tinuturo nyo na. Yan, specific lesson in your own lesson plan. So we have how many minutes? Ayan, tamang-tama. We can have 10 minutes for this. Mag-mute lang, unmute, sorry. I will put myself on mute so you can work.